Hello everyone, it's Tyler McGraw from Emerging Civil War, and I'm here at Manassas National Battlefield, and behind me are the Stonewall Jackson Monument and a wayside marker titled The War Over Memory, which, if you've been following the news, you might see that this is actually slated for removal and replacement. So I figured I'd jump on here just to give you guys a little context as to the monument and why it's here. So let's back all the way up to 1923. This park, Henry Hill, and many of the environs around it were actually owned by the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and they labeled this the Manassas Confederate Battlefield Park. Now, the Sons of Confederate Veterans did find themselves in some financial hardships and ultimately would give this ground to the National Park Service in 1940, thus becoming Manassas National Battlefield Park. There were two stipulations when they gave this to the National Park Service. One was that there needed to be a monument in a prominent position here on the hill, way far away from Jackson's actual position in the tree line behind me. And there also needs to be a visitor center. Well, guess what comes first? This comes first, not without some scruples. The monument itself was sculpted by Joseph Puglia, an Italian-born New Yorker who has sculpted many others, like the John Brown Monument in New York and Phil Sheridan Monument as well. The contest was very interesting. It was done by the Virginia Fine Arts Commission. And when Puglia won, many Confederates would actually be appalled at the statue that they saw a model of. One veteran who has claimed to be one of the last living to see Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee for the last time there at Chancellorsville, their last meeting, writes that Jackson looks like he's sitting on a buffalo. Sadly, the Virginia Commission did not pay any attention to these veterans, which also helps to kind of muddy the history here, because Jackson was not as ripped as you're seeing there and on this gigantic horse. This is completely inaccurate to what Jackson would have looked like, and the veterans themselves knew that. So this adds to a little bit of the lost cause ideology that we see here. We'll fast forward a little bit to the dedication. Just before the dedication, the National Park Service had to seek permission, or if it was appropriate, to drape the monument in the Confederate battle flag. They did get permission from Washington to not only drape the monument, the podium, the speaker's rostrum, and the stage itself were filled with Confederate battle flags, and there were only 2 United States flags flying at the ceremony in 1940. This was August 31st, 1940. We are at the dedication where Douglas Southall Freeman will give the keynote speech, which added a little bit to the narrative there as well. Some interesting things happen here. The United States Marine Corps Band plays the song America. They're here, they're playing. They play the song America, which is the embodiment of freedom. And they're playing it to the dedication of a Confederate general, the Confederates who fought to keep African Americans enslaved. The song America, embodiment of freedom, here at a Confederate dedication. The federal government had battle flags here at the dedication. Stonewall Jackson, as muscular as he is, there's a reason behind that. In the 1930s and the 1940s, the United States is racked with economic strife. Across the pond, if you will, Germans and English are fighting. The whole world is aflame. So they needed a hero to look to. And they find one in Stonewall Jackson. So that's what this marker is here to talk about. It's talking about the differences that Americans are thinking in the 1930s and the 1940s, and showing that the lost cause has sort of found its way here to Manassas and many other parts of the country. So folks, if you have the time, take the time to come to Manassas, read this, and really just get an understanding for why the monument looks the way it does and why it's here today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. We will see you online and on the battlefield.